With James Gunn's The Suicide Squad being his first entry working for DC, many eyes are on him and what he has to say in relation to him working with Marvel and DC. And as he recently revealed, it's very different working for DC than it is Marvel. And that's mainly because of freedom. James Gunn really talking about how different it is to work for Marvel and DC gives you an idea of the different structures and the different companies and the different people to, I think, the most eye-opening degree. So without going into everything, this is from a recent interview with the New York Times, where he talks about the approach to Guardians of the Galaxy and working with Kevin Feige, where everything gets filtered through Feige, and there's multiple people that have to approve of things, and there's Disney, and you have to talk to one another, and there's so much you have to do because it's all for the sake of continuity, legality, where the character can appear, what the character is doing, does this somehow do disservice, or does it discredit or go out of line with continuity. That all has to go through multiple passes, and then they figure out if it'll work. On the DC side of things, he said, he got in there. Have at it. You can make different stuff. What do you want? Who do you want? What movie do you want? What's your approach to it? We don't care if you do that. We don't care if you do this. Just do whatever you will. And we know, to a large degree, this is a James Gunn film. They didn't limit him like they limit other DC actors and directors previously from doing what they want. James Gunn was given free range to do what he wanted. People like Zack Snyder, David Ayer, others were not afforded this ability. So this is slowly changing, and I think James Gunn is the factor here. And the more you hear about it, the more he talks about how it's sort of structured. And he says that if you look at the MCU, it's a cohesive universe. If you look at the DC universe, it's not. It's not all there, but that allows you more freedom. So he says if you really look at it, what's it like to work with both Marvel and DC? Structure and defined role versus freedom and not caring. That's sort of the takeaway, and I can argue that there's a there's a good and bad for both. And I think most of you know exactly what I would say about each one and why each one is better. And you look at the MCU and what they've done with structure and direction, you know, biggest film franchise of all time because of it, because it brings you in. DC, directors get a little bit more freedom, but James Gunn is the only one that's had that amount of freedom so far. So maybe it's just the James Gunn effect, maybe it's not. We'll find out soon, I assume, because if he had a really good time and the Suicide Squad does really good, he'll probably stick around for a while.